Hello and welcome to my channel where I tell stories about my life growing up as a gay man in a country, Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, where it's illegal to be gay. So I had many challenges which I faced and got through, so I wanted to share a lot of those stories. So in this episode today, I want to talk about the baptism side of things that the Jehovah's Witnesses put you through when you are one of their cult, I guess you could call it. So you don't just get baptized, you have to go through a procedure, and it's quite a lengthy procedure. You have to be studying the Bible, Jehovah's Witness Bible, for quite a long time, and then you have to have a series of Bible studies and all sorts of stuff, and then you need to have attended X amount of meetings, you need to go door-to-door work, and basically you dedicate your entire life to Jehovah God, and then you can get baptized. And I was never baptized. I was never ever baptized. I was just raised the child of a Jehovah's Witness. So I questioned almost every single thing that ever passed my vision. But I do remember that my parents, both of them, were baptized witnesses. And I do remember that my father ran into some trouble. And when I say trouble, with the witnesses, because he used to smoke, but then he stopped smoking. Then he started smoking again, years later, as a baptized witness. He smoked for a number of months, I think, and the elders in the congregation got hold of him and said to him that they'd got stories about this and that he should stop smoking, basically. And he couldn't. He just struggled a lot with it. I didn't have a great relationship with him when I was growing up, so I was kind of picking up stories about what I was hearing from him talking to my mum talking to him, and the other witnesses and all that kind of stuff. So even though I didn't know exactly what was going on, I got the gist of it, because then years later he did tell me about it. So they being the Jehovah's Witnesses, they had said to him that he needs to stop smoking, and he said he couldn't. And so they gave him a time frame. They set him a small time frame in which he had to stop smoking. And they basically said to him that if you do not stop smoking, we will disfellowship you. So they came around and gave him that time frame, and he hadn't stopped smoking, so they disfellowshipped him. And he was then shunned from the congregation. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it means that if you are a baptized Jehovah's Witness, they make a public announcement at one of the congregational meetings to the congregation that this person has been disfellowshipped. And what that means to the members then is that you're not allowed to associate with that person. I mean, to the point where people would come and visit my mother, and my father was not allowed in the room, or he was not allowed to be in their company. They were not allowed to be in his company or to be seen associating with him. So it was very tricky. Trying to explain to me as a child, I couldn't grasp that. I really struggled with that, and it was really difficult, because from being taught as a child, you are in subjection to your parents, you do what your parents tell you, you don't question anything, you do what your parents tell you, and there is a hierarchy. There is the husband who's the top, then the wife, and then the children. And that's the order of obedience. And on top of that hierarchy, there was the Jehovah's Witness elders and blah, and so it went on. So I do remember that my father really struggled with that. He really struggled a lot with that. I know, as I said earlier, because he talked to me about it when I got older. And But going back to when I was a kid, I struggled because I really didn't understand. You know, I had been taught previously about unity and how we all work together and we're all one I don't know, group of people who do things together. And then suddenly this man who is struggling to do something against what they preach, he then gets shunned and is really treated badly. He was really treated badly. And I know from lots of experiences from other friends of mine who were now ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have had exactly the same story. And, you know, you just got to go onto YouTube and type in, you know, being shunned by JWs. There's loads of people who talk about it. And it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that to think that he was made the head of the home by the JWs, okay? Then he suddenly loses this power and we now have to look at him as somebody who's inferior. He's no longer the top man. So it was really confusing. The mixed messages we got sent as children of Jehovah's Witnesses was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. I remember my dad, he had a meeting with the elders, and how can I say, he was sitting where his workshop was in the I'll never forget, I remember the house we lived in. He was sitting crouched down smoking and he was crying. I was a kid, and I remember going up to him and saying, "What's the matter? You know, when you're a young boy and you see your father crying, this is the man who's supposed to be the pillar of strength in your life, and he's crying. He's just had a meeting with these people, and you don't really trying to pin it all together." And he just said to me that I've been disfellowshipped, and they're making an announcement on Sunday that I'm officially disfellowshipped. And I just remember being speechless because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to behave. I just remember standing there feeling so sorry for him. And when I look back now, isn't it the parents' responsibility to feel and look after the child? Whereas as a young boy, I was having to swap roles because of the way the Jehovah's Witnesses had treated him. That's exactly how it happened. So it wasn't nice. It was really, really, it was uncomfortable. It was horrible. And then the really weird thing was people coming to visit from the JW cult who were coming to visit my mother now, and my dad was no part of it. He was no part of this conversation anymore. It was hideous. It was absolutely hideous. My dad, it's the one time I felt so sorry for him. You know, as I said, my dad and I, father and I, we didn't have the greatest relationship, but that's for another chapter. So, yeah, tough, huh? But anyway, if you like this story, please like and subscribe to my channel because I have loads more stories to tell. So, thank you for watching.